They're two brothers and gamers that have been playing games since the early 1980s. Combined, they have over 65 years experience. Join them each week as they discuss and rant about gaming and entertainment news. This is Generation X Gaming.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another week, another episode of Generation X Gaming, the weekly podcast that goes over a few of the top stories from the past week, and we rant along the way. Joining me like every week, nope, a different person this week. It's the Kingard. What's going on, man?
Nothing much, man. How are you?
Good, man. Thanks for joining me. Thanks for filling in for Sarge for this weekend.
Yeah, for sure.
You got big shoes to fill.
Yeah, I know.
You got to get angry. You got to.
I've seen the man work. He plays anger like a fiddle, and I don't think I can do that. But I'll do my best.
You're like the complete opposite of what my brother's energy level is. So, no, I appreciate you coming out and hanging out with us. What's going on, chat? Generation X Gaming is a weekly podcast that goes over a few of the top stories in the past week, and we rant along the way. Each and every single week, we're here at 8 p.m. Eastern. You can listen to us, watch us on iTunes, Google Play, Spotify, Anchor.fm, and you can also watch after the fact right here on 30 NSG. If you like what we do here, make sure you hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. If you'd like to go above and beyond that, you become a member as little as $5. So on today's show, we're going to be talking about the giant, as Kingard said in the video, this giant asteroid was coming towards us, about this Xbox podcast and what we were going to find out. And when it landed, it was like a pebble. So we're going to talk about all the things they said or didn't say on this podcast. We're going to talk about Diablo 4 coming to Game Pass. We're going to talk about the flagship experience. We're going to talk a little bit about Helldivers 2. We're going to talk about Suicide Squad. We're going to talk about the Game Pass and where they were and what they are at now as far as player count. We're going to talk about Payday 3. We're going to talk about Baldur's Gate 3 a little bit, and we'll talk about Sony. And Skull and Bones if we have time. So we'll always make time for Skull and Bones, right? So, so first things up is what we've been playing.
Oh, am I going first? All right. Cool.
No, hold on 1 second. Yeah. The stinger's coming in. Don't worry. It's okay. All right. So, what you been playing? Usually Sarge says I've played nothing. I'm kind of, not really busy. So I know you. I know you. You've been playing. So I watched you play Suicide Squad a bit. So what else have you been playing?
Yes. So it has been Suicide Squad. I had to try it for myself, and also, I'd be lying if part of me wasn't like excited for the game. Like I was getting a little bit more excited as we got closer to release. And I've got a video coming out, so I was working on footage for that. So Suicide Squad for one, and then of course my toxic relationship, Halo Infinite.
Yeah, your relationship with Halo is like mine was with Destiny back in the day.
Dude, I'm not promoting my Twitter. I don't care if anyone follows me or not. No offense, but like if you do want to see me rant and rave about something, I do it about Halo on Twitter quite a bit. So my thoughts are usually compiled there.
Where did Halo hurt you? Show us where it hurt you on the doll.
Where did can I just do a circle around the whole thing? The whole doll. Oh, dude, so Halo Infinite. I will say they released an update yesterday with 5 new maps that I think they announced it. They said they would do it, and the maps are actually really good, but it's a kind of a catch-22 because they're community made maps, they're Forge made maps, they're not made by 343. So I'm like, okay, well, if we're not working on maps and we're not working on content, what are we working on, fellas? What are we doing? So there's that.
So what do you think they're working on with that?
Well, they say they're working on the next game, but my honest answer is they're too busy rehiring everybody that Microsoft laid off, and they can't actually do anything right now.
Right, they didn't want to pay the benefits. They're like, we're letting you go. We'll let you come back, and we don't pay your benefits now.
Right. Yeah. I'm sorry. No, they are working on something. They're working on $40, $20 cosmetics as well. So there's that.
Did you see that we'll talk about Diablo in a bit, but did you see the Diablo
I sure did.
$65 mount?
The fodder
Oh, my
writes itself. It really does. That mount skin in Diablo 4 is more expensive than the whole game. So, whatever. Anyway, so that I've been playing those two, and then and people buy that too. Can you believe it? And then
I can.
And then the third game I've been playing, Control. I wanted a good single player experience that I haven't played before. Big Remedy fan over here, and so I've been playing through Control for the first time.
I played Control for about an hour and a half, and it just didn't click for me. So I was like, I'm good.
This is my third attempt to play it, so I get that.
Oh, see, that's like me with Witcher 3. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I watched, because when my son was born, Witcher 3 came out and I couldn't play it. And I watched Carnage on Twitch play the entire playthrough with the baby in my arms as he's crying and whatever. And so I bought the game for like $25 for like the Game of the Year edition. And I tried to play it, and I put it in. I played for like an hour and a half, and then I put it down. And then I went back and played it for about another hour and a half, and then I put it down. And then I think I have 8 hours in the game in like 5 years. I just never, I just never put it the time. I don't know what it is. It just never grasped me.
I've tried that game twice. It's, crucify me, gaming world, but The Witcher 3, if I'm gonna sink a lot of time into an RPG, it really needs to hook me in the beginning, and Witcher 3 just didn't hook me.
I agree.
It just didn't. I don't find the combat very fun. However, I acknowledge that you get more abilities and stuff as you go.
Krebsy in chat says Witcher 3 came out when Destiny released, and Destiny pulled my attention. Yeah, I was also playing a lot of Destiny when any moment I had, that's what it was. It was like Destiny.
Yeah.
When you're playing Halo, right? What brings you back to play multiplayer Halo? Like, besides your love of it, like what? I mean, that Halo's not as good as it was in the past, but yet you
absolutely
want to play it. So, like, what brings you back?
Well, I would say that Infinite specifically, I play that one because they got the core gameplay loop down really well. Like the gameplay's fun. I have a very fun time, but I do switch around on Halos. So like I would play Halo 5 more, as bad as the campaign was. I loved its multiplayer. I loved it. And I would play it more, but I can't find a match. There's just not really anybody playing anymore. Yeah, unless it's like at specific times of day, good luck finding a match. Then you got the Master Chief Collection. Now that I will jump on anytime. I mean, that's Halos 1 through 4 and Reach and ODST, but I usually jump on those for the campaign. I play through the campaigns like once a year, so I usually do. But yeah, for Infinite, it brings me back because it's at its core. It is the most modern take on the old Halo formula, way more so than Halo 5 was. Halo 5, as fun as I thought it was in multiplayer, it didn't feel like Halo. It really didn't. Whereas Infinite does feel like Halo, very much so. It's like a successor to Halo 3, and I loved Halo 3. Halo 3 was great. So I come back to that because it takes me back. It takes me back to when the simpler times when Halo 2 and Halo 3 were, what was going on. And and I'd also be lying if I said that Halo Infinite was a complete failure, like through and through. Like it had some victories, it had some successes. It came down to the business model. It came down to a lot of the issues with the engine. Like they can't figure out how to, they couldn't figure out how to make a basic update to the game for like 2 years because the coding was so screwed.
Gaming is hard.
They kept using
gaming's hard.
Yeah, right. Let's we're gonna sell you a live service game. It was free to play, but they had microtransactions, so I'm gonna say sell. We're gonna sell you a live service game that we don't know how to actually provide service to. How does that sound good? Come play this.
Right.
Basically what it was for like the first year and a half.
Yeah, I mean, right now I'm playing Suicide Squad, and I'm playing Helldivers 2, and I'll start with Suicide Squad. Suicide Squad, I enjoy. I like the campaign. I thought the loop was fine for what the game is at launch. And I know as a gamer playing Destiny 1, Destiny 2, Division 1, Division 2, Anthem, Outriders, even though Outriders wasn't a live service game, but they made content, they brought DLC and stuff in. I know what these games are when I get into them, so I'm not expecting anything different because that's the recipe, right? It's like playing an RPG and then thinking another RPG is going to change the course of what it is. They're all the same format. That's what makes them what they are. So I really like what they did with the guns and the loop and stuff after the campaign, because I went into Suicide Squads thinking I was just going to play it for the campaign, and the end game was going to be like the icing on top. And I actually kind of like the icing in this rendition of the state of the game it is now, but it's being hindered by like server problems. And the problem that I'm having, and a lot of people that are having, at least in my community that I'm in, they're all having the same type of problems with the desync, disconnect, and stuff like that. But yet, the developers last week on this show, when I was talking to Sarge, I was having problems because Helldivers 2 came out that day, and within 6 hours, the devs were talking about fixing the servers and whatnot. And at that point, Suicide Squad said nothing, like 6 days, not 6 hours, 6 days, and they said nothing. And then after that show last week, the next morning, they came out and they actually said something, and I was like, well, it's about time. But it looks terrible in the grand scheme of the public, of the community, because it's like tone deaf, right? And they came out after they released the patch notes, I think it was yesterday, and they said that we hear what you're saying, but the reason we didn't make these changes is because it's a separate team working on those changes, and we can only make the changes that we could make, which they nerfed one of the best builds in the game. So it looks really bad of the community, where you're like, we're all having fun. We're in the end game. We have a build that we can't use because we can't get matchmaking or play the end game because of multiplayer that they wanted it to be, right? They wanted this game to be a live service, always online game.
The bones of this game,
right?
Right.
And we can't get on to play it because of whatever. And Sarge last week said, well, maybe the percentage of people that are having problems is lower than the problems that they had with the build. So they nerfed the best build in the game. Other people have already figured out a better build, because that's usually what happens. You nerf something, other things pop up that are better now. And but there's still problems. There's still issues with the servers, and they still have to fix it. So I'm kind of putting that on hold for a bit, because I can't level up very much anymore because of what it is. So I was like, you know what? I'll put it down. It's not a big deal. I got my money's worth already. I'm at like 80 hours in that game, right? So I moved over to Helldivers. And let me tell you, for $40, this thing is, I think it's too cheap. I'll be honest with you.
I want to play that game so bad. I haven't bought it yet. I'm busy. I'm in editing mode right now, but I'm telling you, when I'm done with this next one, Helldivers 2 is next for me.
It is just plain and simple a fun game. And what's funny to me is I've played 3 games this year so far: Pal World, Suicide Squad, and Helldivers. And all 3 of these games have been fun to play. Right. And I think at the core, that's what a game should be. Now, as a connoisseur of video games, when we look at certain games, we like to nitpick and make criticisms for certain things. And you can criticize Suicide Squads for being repetitive and not being. But I look at Suicide Squads as one issue of a longer issue, not issue like problems, like an issue like a comic book issue, where it's the first part of that story that they're trying to tell. Helldivers is the live service game where it's just a blast to play. It's just, you can play solo, you can play 2-player, 3-player, 4-player, drop in, drop out. But they're also having problems, at least on PC. I don't know if they're having problems on the PlayStation, but there's problems with the PC right now with matchmaking. Sometimes you'll have your matchmaking open and no one will join you and you're by yourself. And this game, I don't know if you've ever played a game where, like Sea of Thieves, is a lot harder by yourself than it is with a group of people, right? Because you have to like control.
It's impossible by yourself.
That's not impossible, but it's I played it for 2 years by myself, so it's not impossible. It's just not very intuitive, and you get frustrated real fast because if you don't know what you're doing, you get shit on real fast.
So you're telling me you never got rode up on by a crew of 4 or 5?
No, what I'm telling you is
4.
Yeah, what I'm telling you is when I first started playing the game, I would take a galleon by myself and actually run the whole thing and outrun other people. Yeah.
Well, okay, fine. I'll give you that.
So, but what I'm saying is, but what I'm saying is, the people that don't know what they're doing, they're gonna get shit on, and they're gonna be like, "This is a terrible game."
Yeah, this game sucks. I don't want to play. I played for 30 minutes and got killed. No thanks.
That's what can happen with Helldivers if you don't know what you're doing. You get into the game, you start going solo in, you'll get dead, and you'll be like, "How is this fun?" Right? So But there's different easy mode. There's trivial mode, there's easy mode, there's challenge mode, and there's insane mode. It keeps going up. But the game is so much fun. When you get in, it's like playing. It reminds me of Battlefront a little bit. It reminds me of the movement of Battlefront with a little bit of mix of like SOCOM a little bit. The action that you're in, the amount of intensity, the music's awesome. The guns feel good. The sound design is just amazing. Just everything once you jump in, and it doesn't waste your time. You log into the game, it puts you on your ship. You go through the tutorial, but once you're done with the tutorial part, and you're like the next day, you come in, you play again. It loads up. You're on your ship. Go get in the match. You don't. Not this like load.
All I've seen about the game is just random clips of gameplay footage out of like no context to it. I don't know what's going on. I don't know what the mission is. I didn't even know if there was a campaign or not. I just saw people playing it, and then I saw the loading screen. I guess like you drop down at the beginning of the match.
That's it.
That looks great. That looks awesome. Give me that.
Yep.
Yeah, I'm excited to play that. I really am.
It's very immersive, and what's really cool is there's a lot of different missions. So like for instance, there's like a water factory or a gas depot. And you have to go up, and there's like this little like console you go up to, and then each console has like a different little mini game. So you'll click on it. And did you ever play Helldivers 1? I didn't. So
no, I didn't.
So there's like this pattern that you do, like up, down, left, right. It's like putting a Contra code in on the console, right? And then it says like 1 of 4, and then all of a sudden, then it says you got to connect these like little mini puzzle game on there to connect the pipeline. Then you got to run over to the pipeline, and you got to unscrew it to get them on, and then you got to run back to the console and then hit the button to turn it on once everything's set up. And they have different things like this. There's clear the eggs, extract people, launch a nuke, get the bullets for artillery rounds. There's all these little mini things that are happening, and it's done very well. It's very cool. People can look at it and go, well, it'll get repetitive. If you go into the mission and pick the same thing over and over, like kill eggs for 3 hours, then yeah, it'll get repetitive. But if you just go around to different planets and different things, the environment changes, the maps change because they're procedurally generated. Just the enemies that you fight. There's 2 enemies right now. There's like, I don't know, I can't pronounce. I think it's autonomy. They're like the Terminator robots, which let me tell you, I fought them for the first time today. It is like World War II. Like, it's like storming the beach. It is intense. You got massive robots with like, you got to just shoot their heads off for the bigger guys. There's like tanks that come in, flying ships that drop. It's intense. It's amazing. And then there's the bugs like Starship Troopers, right? And some of the bugs that you go up against, it's intense, man. There's different bugs where they have like an armored shell, and you got to hit them in the back or underneath or on the side. Their legs are weak spots. So you start learning which each ones are for the bigger ones. The little grunts is 1 bullet kills them. They're trying to, waste your bullets before you shoot the bigger guys, right?
Yeah.
Then there's the stratagems that you call down. That you can call down an airstrike. You can put a turret down. You can put a napalm down. There's like a little drone that comes out and helps you. There's a shield that you can put on. Just everything about this game, it just clicks, man. It's so good. And right now there's like a lot of people talk about like it's pay to win. There's a battle pass. I know how you are with battle passes and microtransactions and stuff like that. But the battle pass, there's a premium battle pass and there's a free battle pass. And when you drop into the menu, or drop into the map, I should say, you could just do the mission and extract, and you get your 2 medals and like 200 XP, and you can level up stuff on the ship, and you can take those medals, store up a couple, and then unlock a helmet, chest piece, a gun, whatever it is on the battle pass, the freebie side.
Well, let me say here.
Okay.
I'm actually not I'm not anti battle pass. Shocker, I know, but I'm not. So to hear that Helldivers 2 has a battle pass, I'm like, meh. But usually the reason why I come off as anti battle pass is because usually I'm not a fan of what the battle pass represents. Okay. Usually it's almost like the flag that's planted in a crappy live service game that's lacking on content and any serious innovation. Like, that's usually what I see battle passes attached to. So it's more of like a guilt by association thing for me. But then also, I guess it's more so about what the battle pass replaces. So if it's replacing something like, say, loot boxes, great. I will take a battle pass any day. But if it's replacing something like progression that's not time gated, then yeah, I have a problem with that. Like if the only progression that exists in a game is a time gated battle pass, like Halo Infinite, for example. Actually, no, not like Halo Infinite. Their battle passes stay forever.
So does this one.
Great.
So does this one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So to hear that, I go, okay, I'm fine with that as long as the free version still gives something.
Right.
And I have no problem with paid battle passes. I do have an issue with microtransactions in fully priced games on day one. But Helldivers 2 is $40,
right.
so I'd be a little bit more lenient on that. But like if I go in that game, I don't know what their store looks like. I don't know, so you might be able to tell me. If I go in that game and I see $20 skins on day one and a $10 battle pass and it's a $40 game, then I get irritated. But if the game is at least fun and full of content, then I can overlook that stuff. I can.
So what they've done in this game is, if you just drop down on the map and just do the main mission and then extract, you're just going to get the medals that level up the regular battle pass, which is free. Okay, and you can unlock stuff that way. And there's 10 pages, and the last piece of armor, you're going to be grinding. You got to put I think that's like 1,200 medals in. By the time you're putting a lot of medals in to get to that point in page 10. But if you pay the $20 more, I think it's a $60 version for the deluxe edition, you get this armored set, which is basically the last set on the page 10 on the free track. Okay. So, but the longer you stay on the map, there's like these hidden boxes that you can take a grenade, blow open the door, and they give you premium currency within the map itself. So if you wanted to, you're enjoying the game, you're playing through the game, you're doing all the objectives that are on, not just the main quest on the map, you can earn enough, like 100, 200 each time you do it. And then the battle pass, premium battle pass costs, I think it's 1,000, right? 1,000 of the premium currency, which I don't know. Chat, maybe you can help me out. I don't know what I think maybe it's $10. I would assume it's $10, right? So 1,000.
I would guess, yeah.
So 1,000 of those things is $10, and you can buy the $10 and then unlock the premium one if you want to get that gear in that as well. So they let you earn, and I've already earned over 1,200 of the stuff, and I haven't purchased the battle pass, but I did buy something from the they have like a daily thing you can spend your currency on, like your real life currency that you get if you either pay for it with real money or if you get it from the actual game itself. There's like 4 things they put up. They took two pieces of armor and then 2 helmets. And the armor usually gives you like a little bonus, like it'll say it throws 30% farther with your grenades, or you get 2 extra stem packs or whatever, stuff like that, right? So you could look at it and say it's pay to progress or whatever, but everyone that can play can get that stuff. It's not locked behind anything. It's just like play the game. You'll get these reward medals, and then you take those medals and purchase the things that you have, or you can find the premium currency on the actual in the world, or you could take the medals and then purchase the premium currency within the basic battle pass, right? So there's many ways to get the premium currency if you choose to use that, and if not, you don't have to do any premium currency, and you can just get the medals that are in the game to purchase the cosmetics that help you along the way.
But what you pay for, the rewards you get, like if I put my money in and what it gives me, that doesn't alter the gameplay in any way.
It would alter your gameplay as far as like if the armor, and I don't quote me because I don't know what that armor is because I didn't buy it, but I'm assuming that it gives you like, let's say it makes you run a little bit faster. So let's say the basic speed for your armor that you wear for the basic guy is like 100. This one might give you like 200 because it gives you that extra speed, maneuverability or whatnot. So it does give you an advantage, but you also paid the $10 extra to get that armor. Where if I didn't pay the $10, I got to grind to get to page 10, which right now, just put in perspective, I'm on page 5, okay? And I have about 10 hours in the game. So I'm assuming that maybe double that, and I would probably, and I'm taking my sweet time. I'm not doing I'm literally just leveling up XP-wise. I'm not going out for all the resources and different things. I could probably get it sooner. But yeah, just to put it in perspective.
Well, I mean, I gotta say, obviously, I've never booted up the game, so I, take everything I say with a grain of salt. I've got to say, I mean, if I can put money in the game and a reward that I'm given affects gameplay in some way, then I would be sympathetic to the argument that it's pay to win for the same reason like Call of Duty DMZ. The big argument with that, I can buy a skin that gives me an automatic UAV or automatic extra armor or whatever when I start a match. And the argument that it's not pay to win is, well, you can also just find that stuff on the map. But the problem is I didn't have to because I bought the skin. I paid to get the advantage. So if there's an advantage that comes from paying, I'm like,
yeah, but the difference between Call of Duty, what you just described, and the DMZ is PvP and PvE, correct?
yes.
And that PvP is the problem. That's where it becomes pay to win.
Yeah, I mean, man, I said the same thing about Marvel's Avengers. I thought that was pay to win too when they were selling boosters for XP.
See, I don't think that's pay to win either. See,
I mean, I don't have to be fighting real people to still be paying to win. It can be PvE.
Well, sure,
too.
but what are you winning if you're working together as a team, right? You're paying to progress faster because you can still earn it in the game by just playing the game, right?
Yeah, but you could still earn this armor by playing the game too.
Yeah, but if I'm not going against anyone, my whole thing is if there's PvP involved, then 100% it's pay to win. 100, I agree with you. 100% it's pay to win. But if it's you versus NPCs, what are you winning?
You're winning better gear. You're winning. You're getting more XP to level up your guy. I mean, again, I haven't played Helldivers, so I can speak on Marvel's Avengers a little bit better. Like if you have an XP booster that you buy, the more you upgrade your character, the faster you get more powerful abilities. Now, I would agree that if you're already like maxed out, maybe you don't have any more to unlock, and for some reason you decided to buy XP boosters, then I'd say power to you. There's no pay to win there. You've already earned it. But if I'm a level 1,
you can't get
and I buy some.
Yeah, you can't get the currency though to unlock the things. You have to actually play the game to get the currency. The only thing you're getting is you're getting that armor that gives you a little bit of a boost or whatever it is, right? But the medals that you get, you have to play the game to get those medals, right? The resources that you get, you have to play the game and extract to get those resources. So if you put the $10 in and I don't put the $10 in, yeah, sure, I guess you have a little bit of advantage of if it's shields or you're moving faster by a increment amount of stuff, and that might give you an advantage. But at the same time, if it's an advantage for our team, then I don't really think that's an advantage, right? Like the NPCs are not complaining that you have an extra advantage, and all the stuff that you can unlock, you have to extract. You don't get any of those if you fail the mission.
Yeah, but for me, it's not just about who you're fighting. It's about just winning. Because if winning in a PvE game is about beating the NPC, and winning in a PvP game is about beating the other players, and what you're buying helps you win better or win easier, I would say it doesn't, regardless of whether it's a player or an AI, you're still paying to win. Well, it sounds like.
I'll tell you what, when you get the game, you play it, and then you let me know if you think it's pay to win or if it does absolutely nothing.
If this armor is like, I'm faster,
it's not,
I run faster.
It's literally not that much better than anything else.
But is it better at all?
It is. It's got a little bit of a increase of what it has, but you can still earn that by playing the game normally.
Yeah, but I mean, I can shortcut that by putting in real money.
Okay, but I have a question then. If you have a time frame where you can put 10 hours in a day, and I can put 10 hours in a week, okay? Obviously, without paying any money, you're going to hit that point faster than I am because I can't put 10 hours in a day to play where you can. Yes. So isn't that the same thing?
We're playing a game, not buying Pokemon cards.
Yeah, but you have an advantage because you have more time than I do.
Yeah, it's a game play, not a game buy.
But what my point is, if I don't have the time, but then I spend $10 and now I have that advantage, and now I play 10 hours for the week, and you play 10 hours a day, we're on an even playing field, right?
Because if you're putting in money and I'm just playing more,
right? You have the time to play, yeah, and I don't have the time to play. I have 1 hour a week where I get to play the game, so now I pay $10, and now I'm able to have a better increment amount of advantage to play with you, where I'm not dying because it's giving me that extra health. I don't know what it gives you.
No, I hear what you're saying. If you,
but you're putting the time in. I mean,
yeah, if somebody has the choice and that's just like something they do or don't want to do, that's not where my problem is. My problem is from what comes after that. And a prime example would just be go look at mobile games. Go look at mobile games right now. I mean, tell me if those aren't pay to win. I'm not fighting another player in a lot of those.
Yeah, but you are, because you're doing mostly leaderboards, and leaderboards get you extra energy levels or get you extra I don't know, points to unlock the next advantage to go against other people.
The two games I played mobile that made me never play mobile games again were both fighting games, and neither of them did I ever play against another player. It was all in PC, and it got to the point where it became so difficult that you basically have to put money in to win, or grind absurd like, not, there's no way anyone's actually sitting down playing the game that much. And so it's not like this armor that lets you run 10% faster and somebody wants to catch up on tens of hours they didn't get for the week. I'm like, hey, I don't want to take that choice away from somebody, but it's what comes next that I am wary of is my big issue with that. Because I don't think, why stop there? Why not add $10 to
I get
reload automatically, or why not $10 to turn invisible? Why not?
I get what you're saying as far as like what the industry has done, but for what this game is doing, it's done in a way where it's fair across the board. I'll be honest with you, it really does seem fair.
I guess this didn't used to be a hot take, but I guess it is now. I don't think there should ever be, and this is obviously something that sounds like you and I disagree on, I don't think there should ever be a circumstance where I can pay real money to go around playing the game, even though I hear that it's like a level playing field for people that do play and don't play more. Like, I think that takes away the core of what the game is supposed to be. But again, if we, like you said, it's the industry really that's made me feel that way more than anything.
Right.
If it weren't for the industry that actively, constantly tries to push the envelope just a little bit more,
constant $65 horse armor. Yeah, I get it.
Yeah, if I knew for a fact that, hey, this is where it stops right here. Here's the goalpost, and we're not moving it. I'd be like, power to you. Power to you. That's fine. But that's not how it is.
I agree with you, except the only thing I disagree with you is that the pay to win is mostly for competitive in any way, shape, or form. If there's competitiveness in there where leaderboard, I win the match, you lose the match, then that I think is pay to win. But if it's cooperative and you're going to playing with each other, I don't see that as a pay to win. I think that's pay to progress. And
if everyone
those two
on
things,
Helldivers 2, can you respawn or revive your teammates?
You can.
If everyone dies, do you fail the mission?
You have a certain amount of kill drops that you can do. So like each person has, I think, like 5 revives or like 3 revives. So once you're dead, and then you have a total team kill of like 15. So you can drop in like 15 times before you fail the mission. And then
the whole team can drop in 15 times, or is
it
15
total.
shared?
Yeah, shared. 15 shared.
Oh,
yeah.
It's like, oh my god.
Well, it all depends on what level you're on as well. Like they give you more. And then you can also fail by, you can call the ship in at the end, and let's say I have the resources on me, but you extract and I don't. I get left behind. Well, then none of us get the resources. Okay, like you failed while your other teammates got up in space and they succeeded.
Well, I guess the point that I'm getting at is, if there's a way to fail in Helldivers 2, that would imply there's a way to win too, right? So I would think if you can pay money to help you win easier, even if there's not players you're going against, it's still winning. You're still paying to win.
Like I said, go ahead, you buy that armor, and then you go into the harder difficulty, and you let me know how much more advantage you have. I'm telling you,
if there's any advantage at all, that's the buck's got to stop somewhere. I mean, there's got to be a line in the sand, and that's mine. That's where my line in the sand is. Like if they came out tomorrow with an armor that was like Halo Infinite, it helps your shields recharge just 10% faster, or you can play through the battle pass to level 10th page, whatever, and get that yourself. I would 100% call that pay to win, even if it was for use in campaign mode. I don't care if it's just in PvP, even if it's in campaign mode, because that's where I stand on it. Is PvE versus PvP, that doesn't matter to me. I think you're still winning or you're still losing.
Okay. All right. Well, we'll move on from what we've been playing to the top stories. Yeah, the jingle's on.
I've got the YouTube on mute, so I'll just wait for you to talk.
All right. Top stories. Let's start with the elephant in the room, or the lack of, with Xbox, right? Now, I don't know how familiar you are with this topic. Like, for 2 weeks now, the internet was going crazy because it started with a little rumor, okay, that Hi-Fi Rush was coming to Switch, and Sea of Thieves was coming to PlayStation 5, okay? And then it turned into all games were coming to all Xbox first-party title games are coming to all platforms.
Xbox will cease to exist.
Then it became they're the third-party publisher. Then it became they're going to be the next Sega, and then it became that they're never going to exist anymore. And then today the big show happened, and none of that happened. None of that happened. The only thing that did happen was that they said 4 games are coming to other platforms. And in that statement, he said that the way we looked at games was it's been on Xbox for a while, at least a year, over a year old, okay? And that it makes sense for us to move certain things over. They didn't mention the games, okay? Now, rumors are saying that it's Sea of Thieves, Hi-Fi Rush, Pentiment, and they think the fourth game is Grounded, right?
Mm-hmm.
Now, again, not official, okay? But I love how all of these other content creators out there, news junkets, they're like, the sources, man. The sources told me this was happening. The sources are happening. This is happening. And now it's already shifted. I've already watched other people already talk about this. And they're like, well, they didn't say it wasn't happening. It could happen down the road, right? And I think you just have to take what Phil Spencer said, right? It's a case by case. And it has to meet the requirement of over a year old on. So people are like, well, Starfield's coming to PlayStation. And I'm like, sure, it could come to PlayStation, but it has to be over a year old, right? If it makes sense for them to put that on that platform. So what are you, just leading up to this whole thing about this 2 weeks of what you heard and what actually happened, what did you think was going on this entire time? Like, what was your opinion on this?
I hate the rumor mill. I really do. And I take nothing at face value of rumors. So really, it was kind of entertaining to just watch people melt over it, I guess, without hearing anything official. Right. And my stance on it was, well, they said they're gonna talk on Thursday, so I'm gonna wait till Thursday. And yeah, you're right. It went from I guess in reality there's 4 games to everything's going every other platform, and the Xbox isn't going to make games anymore. It's not going to make consoles anymore. And I'm just like, okay. So then they come out and they say what you said. And my first thought immediately was, well, of course they're going to do that. Right. Because why wouldn't they? I mean, for the last 23, 24 years, that PlayStation and Xbox, I'll stick with those two for this story. They've been they've had this console war. They've been fighting with each other, and the whole time it has been blatantly anti-consumer. I mean, you tell me, how much do you like it when you have to subscribe to Netflix to watch this show and Amazon to watch this show?
I hate it.
Yeah, and I've been saying for the last couple of years now, it will not surprise me if we start seeing that with internet at some point. Like it's gonna say, well, to get this app, you have to have this internet provider. Right. To get this app, it has to be like that. Won't shock me. It's blatantly anti-consumer. And the only people who I think lose in that scenario are the companies that need to sell consoles. And that's what the whole exclusivity thing has been about. Come buy our console, come buy our console. And over time, over the last, really more so over the last like probably 5 years, it started to matter less and less what console you play on. And I think they're seeing, because Sony came out with their statement too, saying that they were, looking into this as well. Yeah. Probably trying to appease their investors, if we're being honest here, because these investors are probably seeing Xbox and they're not stupid. They go, these guys are about to make games that everyone can play. They're going to get a little slice of everyone's pie. Yeah. That's where the money's at. So PlayStation was like, oh my God, we got to say something too. And so give it a few more years, and it would not surprise me if console exclusivity, at least for those two, are a thing of the past. And I think that's great, because for the first time, pro-consumer and pro-business are starting to align. they didn't just get generous out of nowhere.
Right.
Like this is because it's starting to make business sense for them. And I'm actually, I am, even though I had an Xbox longer than I've had anything else, but I grew up with both consoles simultaneously, so I don't really have a dog in the fight. I don't really care, but it would be nice if I only had to buy one. It would be nice if I only had to buy one and I could still play both games, or both sets of games. So yeah, man, I don't really get what all the fuss is about. It makes business sense to me.
Yeah.
Everything's moving to cloud gaming anyway, and these console markets are finally seeing the value in appeasing to the PC gamers. So give it time, and you're probably even going to see a point where they're not releasing consoles at all. It's really just about games.
Well, it's funny to me because years ago, people would always complain, "Oh, I hate that this is a timed exclusive. I hate that this is on this console and that console. I just want to play with my friends," right? But Bobby owns an Xbox and Ted owns a PlayStation. They can't play together. And then, the last 7 years, Fortnite came into the picture. Minecraft came into the picture. You can do cross-play and whatnot. And it doesn't matter what you own. It doesn't matter if you're on an iPad. Doesn't matter if you're on a PlayStation. Doesn't matter if you can play, right? And now all of a sudden, gamers are like pushing it back against this, going, "No, exclusivity, that's where it's at." And it's like, what is this? I don't understand.
It's a stupid parasocial relationship between a person and a corporate IP that doesn't know their name. And it's like, "Oh, I've given you so much loyalty and I've given you all this money."
Right.
They don't care about you.
You're a number. Right. You're a number on the
Yeah, they've got your credit card information. That's really all they care. So I mean, it's just weird. It's people are acting like Xbox or Sony or anybody owes them anything. They don't. They don't. I mean, I as much as I'm with you on I'm with them on consumers should come first. Yeah, totally. I agree. But Sony's not going to be like, "Oh, you know what? Joey over here, he has had a PlayStation account for 14 years. Why don't we treat him a little bit better?" That's not going to happen.
Yeah. Let's give him $10 in V-Bucks. He'll be fine, right?
yeah. And if I remember correctly, I think Sony, they were the last ones to budge on cross-platform. Is it cross-platform for Fortnite and maybe even games in general?
Yep, they didn't want to do it, and they would actually charge people to do it, right? So yeah. Look, I think this whole thing is just funny because I've been saying for over 5 years what Xbox's plan was and what they're doing. And obviously I've stayed on course. I said, look, their Game Pass is the future. That's what they're doing. They're pushing that out to as many people as possible. Everyone's like, "No, man, PlayStation's got 122 million copies of people that are going to buy games." I'm like, cool. That's as much as you're going to get. That's the saturation point. Where Microsoft only has 27, Xbox Series S's or X's out there total, right? But a number they told today was 34 million Game Pass users, right? Now, I'm terrible at math, right? But 23 million consoles sold, and yet 34 million people playing Xbox. That's a little weird, isn't it? I mean, people that own a console, the gator mouth is the opposite direction, right? Where it's going towards people that don't own the actual Xbox and they have Game Pass and they're making money. So there was an article a couple months ago that said that and this is when we only knew about 20, it was 25 million, and now it's 34. So they raised up 9 million. They said 70% was paying. Now, again, I'm being very generalistic. I want to make sure everyone out there knows. I'm just taking what the stat was from a couple of months ago with the 25 million that we knew. And they said 70% was paying for the higher tier ultimate level. Okay. So quick math, of the 34 million that's out there right now, 70% of that's 23 million units that are playing on the PC, Ultimate, whatever, okay? That's $414 million for just that percentage. And then you have the remainder, all right? You got 9 million people paying the Xbox Live Gold Core, whatever, $10, right? So you have an additional, was it 11 million or 12 million with a little change? So you have $535 million every single month right now with just 34 million subscribers. And put that in perspective, Spider-Man 2, and the reason I'm bringing it up is not to shit on it, is to show, because we know the price tag, what it cost them. We know it cost $313 or $315 million for Spider-Man. Okay. That took 6 years to make. Okay. And now they make that money almost double of what a budget of the Spider-Man costs every single month for Game Pass, doing nothing, right? They're not taking cartridges and shipping them into GameStop or putting them up other places. This is literally just coming from the cloud, coming digitally, coming directly to your television set, your mobile phone, your Xbox, your PC, wherever it is, and they're making this money. And people are like, oh, it's just not profitable. Meanwhile, since Phil Spencer's been with the company, they're the most profitable they've ever been before. Now, they might not be in first place in the console wars or whatnot, but every time they sell an Xbox, they lose $200. Every time they sell Game Pass, they're not losing anything. It's all profit.
Yeah, it's a digital good. It's not, I think what I mentioned earlier to you, like, it's not a hamburger. They're not having to buy beef.
Right.
It's especially if they, like, the only thing you could argue that they, I guess, lose would be development time if they're the ones who made the game. Like, if they fronted the cost for the development. But that's it.
Right. And
So
if you can make that money every single month, though, think about what they could do. They could take that money, and obviously, I know they have to pay certain people, and it's a percentage. But when you make $515 million a month, you could take that money and go, oh yeah, here's studio. You want to go make a game like a Spider-Man game? Obviously, they don't want to spend $300 million because that's bad business, because that's unsustainable. They want to make more games around like 100 million or 150 million, right? Half that price, because that's more profitable for them in the long run. But 34 million, and they said they want, to grow that number, and obviously to grow that number, you're not going to sell consoles. Even if they sold another 100 million consoles, okay, that's $200 off every single one that they lose on. And then they have to sell the software on top of that, where they get rid of that equation. They just get rid of the console. They're still making the console, so if you want a console, yeah, sure, you can buy a console. But they get rid of that equation, and then they just put the games where the games want to play. And they even said in an article where kids that are in like the hospital, where you can like log in and log. So they just did an update today where your controls are on your, like, if you log into your cell phone right now, Android, iPhone, they actually have the transparent controls now, pretty much for all games now. A lot of games are adding more to it. Where I played Suicide Squad this morning before my stream started on my cell phone. I was like, wow, this is pretty good. And I was just using the touch screen with the analog sticks and stuff on there. And I was like, coincidence that it came out the same day they're talking about what they're doing with Xbox, right? So they're pushing that because they don't have to make a controller, they don't have to make a console, they don't have to do anything that. They just collect the $10, collect the $12, collect the $15, whatever it is, and they just keep pushing that out there. And they said people in hospitals, if kids are in the hospital, if guys are waiting, you can log in and just log out. So if, let's say there's a television in the hospital room, and now you log in under your account because you're sick in bed for a couple days or whatever, and you're in the hospital, you want to play some Xbox, and then you log out, someone else can log in, your account's safe. Someone else can log in, and every time you log out, it just logs you out, and someone else has to sign in, right? And this is what they're doing, right? People think that the house is the only place that you can play because of this console. With this, they can be anywhere. People on the subway system, people on the airplane, it doesn't matter. Anyone that has a device that can download this and play it is a potential customer. And sure, you're not getting $70 out of them, but you're getting that 10, you're getting that 15, you're getting that 18 from them each and every single month.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know how it'll happen. I don't know the logistics, so don't grill me too hard. But my prediction is that I think we're gonna see the production of games start to shift away from which console you should buy, and more so which service to subscribe to. But you'll have access to all of them from the same place,
right?
Like what Game Pass is right now. And PlayStation Now is right now. Imagine you have access to both of those in the same place, but you have to choose which one you want to subscribe to, if not both, depending on the games that are there. And I kind of think that's where we're headed. Like right now, it looks like all games for everyone, no consoles, woohoo. I don't think it's going to stay there. I mean, exclusivity is going to worm its way back into it somehow. And if it's not console, I kind of think it's going to be subscription service.
Right. Yeah, I said it a couple of weeks ago, months ago, but I said it last week as well. I think they do like a MMO type of thing, right? Because Final Fantasy 14 is coming on, and we know that you have to pay the subscription fee if you want to continue playing it, plus the Game Pass subscription. But like Elder Scrolls is on there. World of Warcraft is owned by them now. I can see them putting that on like PC Game Pass.
Do you mean like new games that are just have a subscription model?
Yeah,
like just for that game.
Yeah, so they're doing Final Fantasy is their standalone where you still have to pay their monthly fee once you pass the trial period, right? Like you can pay up to like level 60, but if you want to continue playing, you got to pay the $13 for them, and you got to pay the $10 for Game Pass, which is stupid. But other games like Elder Scrolls Online, you don't pay anything. You're not paying a monthly fee to play Elder Scrolls Online.
Do you have to have Game Pass to play the game, and you also have to purchase the game?
For Final Fantasy, yes.
You have to buy the game on top of having
Game Pass?
You don't
have to buy the game. It's going to be on Game Pass, but you have to have Game Pass to play the game. And then you also have to pay the subscription model for Final Fantasy 14.
Oh, that's what you have to pay for. Okay, so you have to pay Game Pass and a subscription.
Right, so you have to get you have to get the minimum, which is the Xbox $10 one, and then you have to get the $13 subscription model for Final Fantasy 14 to continue past the trial. Right, so if you like
2 subscriptions,
just to play that game.
one game,
right? But that's a third-party game, right? Their first-party titles like Elder Scrolls Online and I think World of Warcraft. I think if you pay, and I don't know if they're doing this. This is just my way they're going. I think they'll have another tier or put it into Ultimate, just Ultimate itself. So maybe Ultimate's $18 now, maybe it goes to $20, and then World of Warcraft is on there, right? And then that's part of the thing. So you get all these other games on Game Pass, plus you get the MMO type of thing. I don't know if that's what they're doing, but I feel like that's the way they could go. They could also do like a completely separate Activision Pass. You know what I mean? Like they do this on Nintendo. Nintendo, you pay for online, and then if you want to play the retro games and stuff, you pay a little bit extra just to get all the little retro games on there. So I can see them doing that, and look what's happening with like Netflix. There's a free model, or not a free. There's a free model with ads, and then there's going to be the high end tier and whatnot. Same with Disney Plus and all these other ones. They different tiers to get you on certain what you can watch or what you can't watch.
Xbox will crash and burn if it gets to the point where it's multiple subscriptions for one game, and if PlayStation's over here like, hey, you don't have to do that with us. It just that feels like the Xbox One PS4. Yeah, Xbox One PS4 generation all over again.
Yeah.
That just unnecessary restrictions. That's insane. Yeah, is the game exclusive to the Xbox
for Final Fantasy?
Yeah.
No, it was exclusive for PlayStation for all these years. They just got it on Xbox.
Okay, so you could play on PlayStation.
You don't have to pay an extra fee. You can just pay. You buy the game and then you play the subscription. Yeah.
That's a death wish.
Yeah, Langer, I know. That's why I said you can play the free trial is the level 60 or level 70. If you want to continue after that, that's when you have to pay the monthly subscription fee for that. So, on top of that, I think that Game Pass or what they're trying to do is I can see them making little pods, and I hate it, but obviously you can do that, right? Because they didn't talk about it today, but rumors were saying that they were thinking about doing a Game Pass but with ads, right? So you don't pay as much, or maybe you pay nothing, but then there's like ads. I think that's a death wish as well. I hate stuff like that myself.
Oh, whoever folds first loses. Whoever introduces ads into their service first loses. So if it's PlayStation or it's Xbox, but as soon as one of them does and they catch all the flack for it, then the other one will start doing it too.
Right. Krebsy says, I'd be happy to share the numbers to when the number jumped from 25 to 34 because Xbox Live got folded in. Yeah, but that doesn't mean anything. That means absolutely nothing. Like, what does that number mean to you and me, right? Nothing. To them, it's $10 that they moved over from Xbox Live Gold and moved it over here. If you're trying to make that like a Xbox thing, PlayStation did the exact same thing when they moved their PlayStation Now, whatever it was called, into PlayStation Plus. They moved everyone over, and that's how they miraculously got 50 million people on PlayStation Plus, right? That's how they did it. They moved people over and they paid. So say what you want. If you think, well, that's how they raised it, whatever. They're still making $10. So
I mean, payers are payers, you know.
Right.
If that number went up really high and then immediately dropped back down to where it was, that would mean people were leaving Game Pass. And I would think that would be more indicative of like a success or failure. I would think.
I personally, I've said this in the past. I think they take Battle.net from Blizzard and they just merge it into Game Pass. There's 120 million people that have Battle.net, okay, and they pay a subscription fee for World of Warcraft. If they want to hit 100 million people, they just move Battle.net into Game Pass, voila, your number goes from 35 million to 135 million. Do you know what I mean? Like, who cares if Peter pays Paul? It's still going to the same person.
That'd be interesting to see. I mean, that's a colossal IP that they have under their belt. So, I mean, there's a lot they could do with it. There's a lot they could screw up with it too. So,
sure.
I mean,
sure. Well, it can't be worse than the Windows Store, right? So,
oh geez.
Here's it says Xbox says its consoles will remain a flagship experience and only place is for Game Pass. Okay, let me read a little bit here. It says Xbox has pledged that the console pledged, like they put their hand on a book and were like, I swear on my life of my daughter that you'll be able to get, like, it's a pledge until it's not a pledge. Let's just be honest. Okay, Xbox has pledged the console will continue to be the best way to play games, and the access to those games will not be removed in the near future. Well, technically, the best place to play games would be on PC, wouldn't it? I've just put it out there. If I have a stronger PC, that's a better place to play, and I don't have to buy an Xbox.
The day that PC becomes more affordable and upgrading them becomes more affordable, consoles are done.
Right. It says, as part of the statement, the future of Xbox business, the article on the Xbox blog states that Xbox consoles, quote, will continue to provide a flagship experience for the players. It also notes that Game Pass will continue to be only available on Xbox platforms. Technically, isn't anything with a screen an Xbox platform now? I mean, that's what they said.
That's what they said. Yeah, that's what they said.
That's what they said. Essentially shooting down the suggestion that it may come to PlayStation or Nintendo systems in the future. Now, the statement also appears that dismiss the concerns that players' Xbox libraries will shut down in the future, saying that the company's commitment to the game preservation is unwavering. Also, it continues to say, quote, Xbox players should have confidence in the building of your digital library in the Xbox ecosystem. And it says, we will continue to have rewards or to reward you with the most robust player-friendly experience, including backwards capability, cross-play, cross-save, cross-progression, and convenient for cloud gaming and more. And during supporting the podcast, Xbox President Sarah Bond, it's a good name, man, Sarah Bond, implied that more hardware was in the works, and she said, quote, there's some exciting stuff coming out of the hardware, and we're going to share this holiday, she said, and we're also invested in the next generation roadmap. So a lot of people are already bringing up handhelds, okay? Now, I don't know where you stand on handhelds, right? So I do know that right now people were pissed off because the S is holding back the X, okay? Mm-hmm. That's everyone's complaint this generation for Xbox. Well, it sucks because the S is holding back the X. Now let's talk about a handheld. If a handheld came in, what do you think this means for Microsoft and for what the play everything anywhere? What do you think about that?
Oh, well, the handheld's going to be about, this big, this high, and you just have to carry it like this around with you everywhere you go.
It's a 34-inch monitor that you're carrying around.
and then it'll meet the criteria of working on the S and the X and the handheld, of course. No, if the big issue is that S is holding back X, like Baldur's Gate 3 is a good example. Apparently the big issue with that is they couldn't get split screen or multiplayer to work properly on the S, but they could on the X, and Xbox eventually they had to concede and just say, hey, let's just put it out there.
Right.
Why would they downgrade if that's the big problem? I mean my assumption is that the handheld would be a downgrade, because find me a device, even an iPhone, like this thing gets freaking hot in my hands. The only way I play it AAA games on it is if I'm doing some type of screen share. The game itself is not running on that device.
Right.
So I don't know. I mean, unless they did something like that where you've got a box at home and you're using internet to stream it to your handheld, maybe. But yeah, I don't know. That's two different things that don't make sense to me.
I look at it and go, everyone makes fun of them that they're third in the console war, right? And right now you got the Switch, you got the Steam Deck, you got the what is it, the is it AOG or ROG? I forget what the hell it is. There's like 5 or 6 different handheld devices right now on the market, right? So you're telling me that Xbox is like, you know what, we're third in consoles, but let's make a handheld and let's get in there. We want to be 7th on the list of handhelds. Like, to me, this makes no sense for handheld device. Now, why make Microsoft's whole business plan for the entire life of Microsoft is not make the hardware, just make the software for the stuff that's playing on it, right? Hence why we have Windows on everything. Okay,
Right.
So why would they change? Why would they change the purpose of Xbox, where they don't have to make a handheld? There's all these other handhelds they can just put their stuff on and make a percentage of that. Instead of they're losing money on consoles, why would they make a handheld? That handheld's going to be expensive.
Yeah, correct me if I'm wrong, but it sounds like what you're saying is with handheld, if they want to get into that market, they need to do what it sounds like they're starting with console, and that's make it to where other hardware made by other people can run your software so that you can make some money while someone is playing your software on someone else's hardware. Is that kind of what you're getting at?
Yeah. Why make the hardware when someone else already made the hardware, and you could just take that game and put it on their hardware, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, if I were
no research and development, right? Nothing. You don't have to do anything.
Yeah, if I were Microsoft and I had let's not forget, people dig on Xbox all the time, but Microsoft is an extremely successful company.
They're
like it has
one.
been for a very long time. For a reason, because they know their stuff when it comes to software and just all around production and getting consumers to feel like they need to use a Microsoft product, whether they know it or not. So why don't they take that strength and put that in their gaming too? I would love it. I would love it if the next Halo game comes out and everybody, I don't care what console you're on, gets to play it, because I know that means better match times or match finding times.
Better for players.
It also means more players giving money to the company, so that hopefully that means they can make another Halo after that, or they can upgrade the current Halo.
Right.
So I just, from Xbox's perspective, the fanboyism, I think we all are in agreement that's ridiculous and people need to get over it. But with Xbox specifically, I'm like, guys, my only question is, why haven't you done this sooner? Let's call it what it is. They're saying only 4 games, but they didn't draw those out of a hat. Like this is to either test the waters or test the waters. That's it.
Right. Leading up to this day, I said it would be a case by case, because when they first bought Bethesda, everyone's like, "Oh, it's going to be on all platforms." I said, "No, it'll be on Xbox, because they paid $7.4 billion for it, and they want you to get that console first." I said, then afterwards, I said it'll be exclusive when it is, and then until it's not, because once you hit that saturation point, then they want to get it to other places. So when Phil Spencer today said, well, certain games, they didn't say what it was, certain games, and they hit the criteria of they've been on Xbox for at least a year. Okay, so we know that's the minimum, right? So Starfield hasn't been out there for a year yet. So when a year comes, during Christmas time, around that time, they go, "Hey, what about Starfield? You want to throw Starfield out there?" No, we're okay right now. Just leave it where it is, right? It's a case by case scenario to see what it is. Now, it does make sense. You look at Helldivers. Helldivers 2 is on PlayStation, and now it's on PC. Now, if it was just on PlayStation, I wouldn't be enjoying it, because I don't have a PlayStation. But because they put it on PC, they made extra money, and they get a percentage of that money, and they're succeeding.
That's where I would buy it. Yeah, that's where I plan to get it, is on PC as well.
Right? And you own a PlayStation.
I do.
Right.
I do. And I would rather get it on PC.
Right? So this is my point. So, like, if they decide to take their games and put them out there, like Sea of Thieves is one of those games that's coming out, for sure. I said, because the way they changed the game around to be more player friendly for like newcomers, it makes sense. Like, you have 54 million people that are potentially going to be able to play the game now, and they're like, "Oh, I'll try Sea of Thieves," right? And now it's friendly for them. Now, it's not confirmed that it's coming, but we think that's one of the games, right?
You called that weeks ago.
Yeah.
I mean, specifically in talking about Sea of Thieves helping with like the new gamer. I mean, there's a reason for that. It wasn't just for fun. It wasn't just for fun. They were planning on seeing an influx of new people.
Right. I was like, why are they doing this now? Like 5 years in, it's kind of strange, right? And then Hi-Fi Rush makes sense, because Hi-Fi Rush seems like it would be a clientele on the Switch, right? And it could be coming to PlayStation as well. But Hi-Fi Rush looks like it would be a fun game to play on the Switch. So it makes sense for that as well. Same with Pentiment, right? Pentiment is that graphically type of looking game where it's like it looks like hand drawn or whatever, and that looks like it would be a good game to put on those consoles as well. But they made the saturation point here. They're like, hey, yeah, 100,000 people played it or bought it. Let's say another 200,000 people played it on Game Pass. Well, now that's the saturation point. let's move it on over to other consoles and see what we can make from it. And then there's that Grounded game, right? Grounded is that fourth game that's out there that's fantastic. I don't know if you've ever played Grounded. It's made by Obsidian.
Yeah, I've heard nothing but good things. My interest in the early access type survival games has run its course. I don't know if that game is still early access or not, but
no,
I've heard nothing but good things about it.
It's fully released now. Yeah, it's fully released.
Okay,
I think it's been almost 2 years fully released now.
Gotcha.
But yeah, it's a great little game. It's Honey, I Shrunk the Kids. You know what I mean? That's basically
love
what
that
Grounded
movie.
is. Yeah,
love it.
So that makes sense going out there, and just like you said, like in Halo, well, when you want to play with people cross-platform or there'll be people there. There'll be people playing, and there'll be more people playing it, and they can make that extra $40 or whatever. Helldivers is the most successful game that they had moving over to PC. It was day and date, right? PlayStation fanboys are all over the place. We're like, it's never gonna happen. Never gonna happen. They're never doing day and date. Well, Helldivers just came out day and date, and it's successful. Not only is it successful, it's so successful that PlayStation's like, yeah, we're thinking about doing this more. Like, we're thinking about doing this first party, right? Where games coming out in the future. Now, they're not saying like God of War is coming out, but they're definitely going to be more open-minded to this, because when God of War came out on PlayStation, it sold like 8 million copies or 11 million copies. And then it came out like a year and a half later on PC, and it didn't even break like 1 million, I think, right away. So people, if they could buy it day and date on their preferred console platform, I should say, then that's what they're going to do. This article says Sony's going to get aggressive with its first-party PC releases. It says in the breakdown, it says Sony is planning to be aggressive multi-platform strategy, which means more first-party PlayStation games will likely be ported to PC. Now, some notable PlayStation exclusives like Horizon Forbidden West, God of War, Ragnarok, and also expected to release on PC in the near future, but those games have already come out. And then Sony is also moving towards PC expansion driven to be desired to increase profits and improve margin performance, right? So obviously the whole industry is going this route, because back in the day when Sega bombed, right, there was no internet to save it. Like, they had to sell consoles, and when they couldn't sell consoles, their backup plan was to make software, games, and put it on the other two parties that were making it successful, right? Well, now Xbox not selling very good with consoles, and they went, well, we have the internet to fall back on, where we can literally put our things.
I was literally just about to say it makes perfect sense why Xbox came with the Game Pass on PC and console when they did.
Yeah.
For example, because they were losing the console war, and if they can't convince people to buy consoles, then they've got to bring the games to the players where the players are.
Right.
And PC, it's Microsoft. Hello. It makes perfect sense. So now I understand, or I guess I understood then, but like I understand now why Sony's like, they're seeing that and they go, well, we're winning the console war, but why don't we let more people be able to buy our games? Because
what's the downside? More money.
What's the downside? Because the only way this hurts PlayStation is if they bank on the next console generation being a huge profit margin for the company as a whole. That's the only way it loses. If that is what they put their investment in, specifically the console, not games, not subscriptions, the console hardware.
Right.
And people don't buy the console because they're too busy playing the same games on PC already. That's how they lose. But I don't think they're going to do that. If they're saying stuff like that in an article where they're actively acknowledging being aggressive about PC releases, then they're not stupid. They're not going to put that much bank. They're not going to bank on their console sales that much. I don't think.
Well,
I think Xbox is already there.
Well, it's also like the people are like, oh, piracy of computer games, right? Well, if the person wanted to buy your game, they were going to buy their game. But if they don't want to buy your game, it's not like there's millions of people pirating games, right? It's a small percentage. So people that buy games on PlayStation, right? There's 54 million people that own a PlayStation 5 right now, right? You own a PlayStation 5, but yet you choose to get Helldivers 2 on PC. Why?
Yeah.
Right? You see what I'm saying? Like that. So if it wasn't on PC, you would have to get it on PlayStation. That's they're like, well, if we let it on other consoles, we're not going to make money. But you are making money. You're making money off of this, and you're opening it up to a bunch of other people. I wouldn't have bought it at all, but now I am. So now you've made my money, where someone else that's not interested in the game is not going to buy your game anyway. Hence why when Spider-Man sells 8 million, it's fantastic for what PlayStation has, because the player base in that is 54 million. You sold 8 million. That's fantastic numbers, right? And I think they just passed 10, if I'm not mistaken, right? So 1/5 of your entire population that owns a PlayStation bought that game. That's phenomenal. But
yeah,
how far are you going to sell consoles? Your best console ever sold was the PlayStation 2 at 155 million, right?
Well, they finally have data now that I'm assuming what their findings are based on what they're saying. They have data now that says we can put out a game on something that's not our console, and the profit that we receive from that is greater than having people persuaded to buy our console for that game.
Right.
So that's why we're going to keep doing that. If they found out the opposite, it was like, oh no, we bombed in profit by putting that on PC, we need to push people back towards console, they would never do it again. They would never put it on PC again.
Right.
But they must have seen that their profit was substantial enough that it's like, hey, let's keep doing this. Like this is working pretty well. And again, it's extremely pro consumer. It just happens to line up with pro business here. But I'm excited about it. I would love it if I don't have to worry about balancing consoles anymore. I can just play the games I want to play, and that's it.
Right. Well, look at today Omega, No Man's Sky released another expansion, Omega, right? And they now have put this game on, it's on everything, right? Like it's on every platform you can play, PlayStation 4, Xbox One, Xbox Series S, X, PlayStation 5, PC, VR headsets, like you can play it anywhere. They're so smart. And they said this weekend you can play it for free. You don't even have to have a console, and you don't have to own the game. You just have to go to their site, hit the link, and you can download that game and play it wherever you want. Right.
And, if the new expansion was free too? I know all their DLC before has been free.
All their expansions are free. They're what they're doing right now.
Yeah, how is that sustainable? I guess just what we're talking about right now, because it's on so many different places.
It's on so many places, and they still charge $40 for the game, right? So if you've never played No Man's Sky before, like right now, if you've never played, you don't own it, you can go play it for free this weekend. Okay, and if you like it, then you'll be like, wow, there's a lot of stuff here, and you buy for $40 7 years later, and they still make that money. You know what I'm saying? So it's there's only 25 people that work for that studio, right? So it's not so it works for them.
Is it still that few people?
Yeah, well, when they first made the game, it was like I think 9 or 12.
Yeah, I knew it was always like under 30.
Yeah,
I guess I just assumed they had grown by now. That's wild. If so,
yeah,
I mean, props to them.
Yeah, No Man's Sky's been on Game Pass for the last 4 years, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah.
So okay, so what they figured out essentially is if we put our efforts into making the game and then get rid of the barriers between people and our game, we don't have to charge and pump out more, I don't know, I guess microtransactions.
There's no microtransactions either.
We could release our DLC for free and the game still be enormously profitable, or at least profitable enough to keep working on it for the past, what's it been?
7 years?
7 years?
It's been 7 years. Yeah. And they have charged $0 for any expansions or microtransactions.
Wouldn't that be a Renaissance 30? If every game came out and it was available everywhere and there was no more microtransactions and it was just they made a game and they sold a game, as you like to say.
Yeah.
That would be a renaissance.
It's amazing to me that No Man's Sky still does what they do. And they still I'm like, dude, at this point I'm like, I want to give you money. Like, what do I have to do? Do I have to buy another copy just to give it to somebody else? Like,
right.
So it's amazing to me that a company like that can still push out these content, and they're not light on content. It's like a good chunk of change of what they put into these content.
Oh, I played it at launch, and then I played it again a couple years ago, and then I played it a third time back when I did that first popular video of mine. And it's night and day, man. They have put a lot of work into that thing.
Right.
And no microtransactions. That's crazy. I don't want to hear, well, game development's expensive, we just have to put in $60 mounts. Like, I don't want to hear that. Come on.
Well,
get out of here.
Then there's Suicide Squads, right? Where Suicide Squad's doing the content correctly, but they're also putting the $70 price tag on the game, and then they're also putting $20 skins in the game and stuff like that, right? That's another thing I forgot to mention earlier on Suicide Squad. The servers are bad, but that store updated this week. That store.
Oh, did it?
Yeah.
Of course it did. They're not going to miss
that
a store refresh.
Updated this week. hit that beat like no problem. They're like, yep, here's some new skins for you.
Solemn Argus said exactly what I was just thinking. The studios that try to come out and be like, oh, game development's so expensive, it's just too much money we have to put into it. That sounds like your fault.
Right.
Like that sounds like your fault management. Yeah, and then like Solemn Argus said, he said inflated. I agree. Like for overly inflating your workforce and your studio, like that's on you. I don't know what else to tell you. Like,
Yeah.
make a good game, sell a good game, and look at No Man's Sky, see what happens, and don't worry about console barriers. I don't know. That's just me.
What's funny to me, No Man's Sky is like this game. We use it as an example of maybe it'll have a No Man's Sky experience, like a comeback, right? Well, I don't think any of these games have a No Man's Sky comeback because No Man's Sky came out, not bombed, right? Very successful because it sold a crap ton, but then sucked. And then they took 2 years. They went dead silent, dead quiet. Came back after the 2-year contract with PlayStation, came to Xbox, went to everywhere else, right? And they just fixed that game. They put their heads down and just made that game better and better and better and better and better over the last 7 years. On top of that, they made another game called Campfire, which is another independent game that they made, okay, while still working on No Man's Sky. And then while they're still working on No Man's Sky and they made Campfire, now they're coming out with Light No Fire, which is supposed to come out later this year, which is like a smaller version of No Man's Sky. It's like one planet, but it's still an entire planet. And it's a multiplayer game. So it's like, how does a 25 crew staff be able to work, maintain a live service aspect of this game, work on a small independent game, and then also make another large scale game for them? But yet other companies that are just making that one game for 7 years are struggling to make content, right? How?
Well, I think I've
150, 200 people.
I think I've identified the core of it, and the core of it is creativity. Because No Man's Sky has up until like Starfield, and then probably some deeper like Star Citizen type thing, maybe it's a very unique game. And I only say Star Citizen because you got space exploration and planets and stuff, but it's a very unique game, and I think that's a big piece of why they were able to do what they did. Imagine they came out with a military shooter set in the Iraq War, or in the future, and it plays like every other first-person shooter you've ever played, and it sucked at launch. They don't get to come back 2 years later and decide to make it better and release DLC with no microtransactions. It's because they were creative in making their game, made something unique that people went to that game specifically for that experience, and that's why they were able to pull that off. Instead of pumping out, what's popular these days. Let's do that. So I think that's where it starts. Make a creative game that's fun, and people will stick around and even forgive you when they probably shouldn't.
Right. Yeah. Like I'm all for people making games and selling games, whatever big budget they are. I think more games are going to be more like what No Man's Sky is doing, or Helldivers is doing, or Palworld is doing, instead of the blockbuster games like Spider-Man or God of War, or like a Halo, where those budgets are just so inflated that they got to figure out ways to, but we'll see. Speaking of live service, we got two other stories we're going to talk about with other live service games, right? One, I know you like this one because your video blew up on this one. Payday 3, okay, is finally getting Payday 3 is finally getting an offline mode, okay?
Right on time, baby.
Right. Offline mode that Starbreeze CEO admits that sales and player numbers are significantly lower than we would like.
No,
say it ain't so. Right, so they announced that a major overhaul of Payday 3 will include changes to progression, matchmaking, UI, and always online requirement. Now, Suicide Squad's going through the exact same thing right now. They said a year ago that they were always online, and then they came back and said, nope, it's going to be offline, but not at launch, right? So obviously we're already 2 or 3 weeks in. There's server issues. People are like, man, it'd be really nice if I didn't have to play online. And then now this game. So what do you think? Do you think because this offline mode's coming and they're making all these changes, do you think it's too late for Payday 3? It's already on Game Pass. You can't go much lower than like what are you doing?
Right. Payday 3, the way that game takes off again is if it were to match Payday 2 in content and experience and surpass it, and enough to where the player base of Payday 2, because there still is a player base of Payday 2, decides to switch back over. And I don't think I see that happening unless the Payday 2 fan base just gets bored. Because for you to play the same game for 8 years and then play the sequel for a couple months and then go back to the game you already played for 8 years, that must have been a horrible impression. And I'm speaking as an outsider because I played Payday 2 a couple times. I was not deep into the Payday community, but like the numbers don't lie. I mean, the community abandoned that game
Yeah.
quick, and this always online stuff, that's not going to save it. I mean, my issue, and or what I think the big problem with Payday 3 was for the masses, for the general masses, was that you couldn't play it for days after it came out. You picked up your controller, you bought the game, you could not play the game.
Right.
So of course, refunds and people not bothering with it and then forgetting about it because the hype was gone by the time it came back up. But for the community, it just didn't have enough features. And from what I hear from Payday players is the progression is inferior. The loop of progression, I guess, is inferior. So no, this is not what saves Payday 3. They had a window of opportunity and they squandered it. Unlike No Man's Sky, No Man's Sky sold a ton of copies at launch, despite the issues in its content. But its uniqueness is what I think saved it. Payday 3 is not unique because guess what? There's Payday 2.
Right.
It's way cheaper. There's a community there. Go look at the Steam numbers. Go hop in a game and have fun.
Right.
So
the other two games when you were talking about that brought up in my head was Anthem. Anthem didn't work when it came out. Like they worked on that game and then they launched it and you couldn't log in. You couldn't log in to play the game, and then you got so frustrated. And then when you finally got to play the game, you figured out that there was no end game. There was no game to play once you played past the story, and you're like, oh, okay. And then Marvel's Avengers, same thing, came out, and they're like, it's always online. And then it didn't work, and I couldn't play the game for 14 days until they fixed it. And then
Yeah.
and then when I beat the game, and then it was server drops and connections and itching, and it's just like I'm smelling it the same way as Suicide Squad's happening right now. Like it launched and they're having server issues. Payday had server issues. It's like, man, when are these companies going to learn that you need to have an offline mode? Because if your online mode is broke, okay, you need to have something to fall back on. And if I can't play your game to go to an offline mode, I'm going to go somewhere else to play. And if I go somewhere else to play, I might not come back to your game after that. But now, here's the joke. Joke's on us, because if you can't get a refund, then you've already given them the $65,
Right.
$70,
Yeah.
$100, and they have your money. But you need that player base. You need that player base to be like, oh, you know what? I'll give them leeway. And right now, Suicide Squad has that leeway. Payday, not so much. It came out in September, and they had massive issues. Helldivers having the same problem, server issues, but at least they're trying to nip it in the bud. And because the game is so much fun, right? That's why people are still playing Helldivers. Where Payday, you're like, fucking game's broke. I can't play it.
I'm asking on behalf of future Kingard here. Is there an offline mode for Helldivers 2?
I do not know that answer.
I mean, you already mentioned it's not. It's a lot more sweaty, intense when you play by yourself.
You can play solo, but I don't know if there's an offline mode. I think it's online. Chat.
Okay.
Don't quote me, but I think it's always online. But at the same time, you don't need to play with people. So if the servers go down, the servers are down. But the servers have had problems, but I still keep playing. So I don't know how that works.
They said Dave Langer and Siege Master said no, but you can play solo.
Yeah. So
yeah, I mean that's I think this probably adds to your point a bit. It's like if the servers stop working, at least I can still play.
Right,
if
you can
there's
still
an
play the
offline
game.
mode.
Right.
All I could do, Payday 3 launch night, I was excited for it because I had been years since I played Payday 2. Rounded up the boys, like we hadn't played together in a while because we hadn't really found a PvE game where we had to strategize that we were like excited about. Like we played Destiny 2 back during Leviathan Raid, and then we hadn't played anything like that since. And Payday 3 came out, we all had Game Pass, we sat down, couldn't get in it.
Right, so you were playing a different game. You were playing the waiting game, is what you were playing.
I was playing the tutorial on repeat is what I was playing. It was the tutorial.
That's so bad.
It was honestly sad. Like what was about to be I think it was a Friday night, maybe. What was about to be a Friday night of me reconnecting with some gaming friends in a way that we hadn't really connected in a while. We'd all prepared for it. We'd all cleaned our schedules off for it, and we couldn't even get in the game. So then it just kind of devolved. It just devolved into, well, I mean, does anyone want to play anything else? And One guy's like, nah, not really anything else I'm interested in. It's like a bunch of casual gamers. You know how it is.
Yep. They're like, let's just go stare at my phone for the next 4 hours.
Looking forward to that night for like a week, and it was So I still have a little bit of a scar there from Payday 3 that hasn't quite healed yet.
No, I feel you. Yeah, well, and going from that live service game to yet the next live service game, which is coming out tomorrow. Okay, which is Skull and Bones. Okay. Skull and Bones. Yeah, you're like, oh yeah, I forgot about that. Ubisoft CEO defends this $70 live service Skull and Bones as a quadruple A game that will deliver in long run. Right, the key word there that I got out of that is in the long run, meaning the game is not done. The game has gone through literally production hell. I'm trying not to shit on Skull and Bones. I'm trying to keep people aware of what type of game this is, and that you shouldn't put stock in it, meaning don't pay your hard-earned money at launch, right? You might like the game. You might want to be a pirate. Well, you're a boat in this. You're not a pirate. You're a boat, okay? And that $70 is a little steep for this game, okay? It's a live service game, always online, okay? And it says that will deliver in the long run, meaning there's no campaign, right? There's no single-player campaign in this. There's a story within the open world of the game, okay? And it used to be where they were going to charge $40. Well, all of a sudden they put that extra A at the back end of it, and it's a quadruple A game, and now it's a $70 game plus microtransactions, of course, right? Of course, there's going to be a battle pass and every other type of thing. I'm sure there'll be like a boat skin that's $65, just like the horse armor skin.
Yeah, maybe in the long run, but in the short run, the player numbers for Assassin's Creed Black Flag will just go up.
Well,
like Arkham Knight with Suicide Squad.
I was just gonna say Arkham Knight with Suicide Squad. Yeah, and so, what do you think about? Have you seen any footage of Skull and Bones?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
What do you think of this game?
It made me want to play Black Flag, but that's my short answer.
Well, it's funny because my short answer is I wanted to play Sea of Thieves.
Oh yeah, well that too. Sea of Thieves, I've given it a lot of crap in the past, but now whenever I make fun of Sea of Thieves, I usually just make fun of its launch state. I acknowledge that now,
right?
If you jump on there, I think you could have a lot of fun,
right?
Because I played it at launch, and yeah. Anyway,
yeah, it was No Man's Sky. It was like nothing to do.
It was No Man's Sky. Yeah. But yeah, when I saw that for Skull and Bones, I sit back in anticipation, because I wait for the day that all of the internet is singing around the Christmas tree in Whoville, Fahu Dores. We're all in agreement. We're all family together. This game sucks, and this game's a scam.
Yeah.
And I can't wait. I can't wait for it. But honestly, what's probably going to happen is I'm going to be disappointed, and there's going to be defenders of it in some way. Oh, it'll get better over time. Oh, don't worry. This is all games launched like this. But I hope, I pray, I want to see the internet come together on this so badly, because I look at that and I go, that looks like a mini game in a bigger game.
Yes.
Like that looks like a piece of a game, not the whole thing. That's like one level. Like, I guess that's kind of what Black Flag's ship combat is. It's a bigger game, and a piece of it is the ship combat, and it doesn't even look as intuitive as that game's ship combat.
Yeah.
So, well, okay. Let me also say, when it comes to Suicide Squad being compared to Arkham Knight, I think a lot of those comparisons are unfair, because Rocksteady did not ever say they were making Arkham Knight 4 or Batman Arkham 4.
But they did say it's in the Arkhamverse, so that is just assumed. Right, yeah.
Right. It's in the Arkhamverse, but they never ever once tried to hint that it was going to be similar or comparable in gameplay. When you take a game like Skull and Bones and it looks identical to Black Flag, when you're just looking at a few snippets of gameplay from the same company, mind you, I don't think they really get a pass for that, because it looks like they should have taken what they learned from Black Flag and improved it, because it is the same thing. You're on a ship, you're in combat.
That's what they originally had, but then they scrapped it and then started over, and then they scrapped that and then started. And what we saw at 2017 was supposed to be ship combat, where if you see the old footage, it was literally I controlled 5 ships instead of just the one ship, and it was like a massive Oh, you didn't see
That
this?
sounds cool.
You didn't see this?
I haven't seen that.
Yeah, this is.
That sounds cool.
Look up Sea of Thieves 2017 trailer, 2018 trailer. You'll see, right? So the ship combat.
Actually, no. We just need to buy $30 colors for our flags for the next 2 years, and they'll add that in the game.
Right. So that's what they changed it. So this game has been changed 4 times. It lost 3 directors for this game. It's been in development for 10 years. They changed it from a free-to-play to a $40 to a $70 game, and the title says it itself, it'll be delivered in the long run, meaning it still needs like another 2 years to cook, right? At least another 2 years to cook. And I said that I'm staying away from this game. I will check it out once it comes to Game Pass. Anyway, when it comes down the road, right?
A month from now when it's on.
Yeah, like 2 years from now when it's on Game Pass, I'll check it out.
Or if Ubisoft Play or whatever.
Well, it is on Ubisoft Play. So if someone wants to play this game, I would recommend doing a month subscription with that if you want to try it out. But if you like it, then you're going to continue paying that $10 or whatever, $14 a month, or you could just pay $70 for the game, or just wait 3 months. Wait 3 months, it'll go down to like $40, and then you can pick it up. Right, it's an obligation game, because they took a loan from Singapore. Singapore gave them the money to make this game, so there's a lot of problems with this game. And what you brought up with Suicide Squads being compared to Arkham, right? Like, it's not an Arkham game. I want the same energy level from IGN and from other reviewers when they say, like,
you won't get it.
All you're doing in Suicide Squad is running on top of the city on rooftops and fighting the same 4 things. I want the same energy for Skull and Bones. All you're doing is taking a ship and going on the ocean and doing the same 4 things, right? I just keep it same across the board.
Well, what IGN will do is they'll gauge the internet reaction to the launch first, and then determine how positive or negative they're going to be based on what the internet tells them. Because if you go and look at the preview article on IGN right now for Skull and Bones and compare it to the preview article for Suicide Squad, you will see that in Suicide Squads they were extremely negative, like let's hit Pete, let's assassinate this game before it comes out, because the hate train had been going for a long time before their preview article came out. Skull and Bones, it's been more of rumors, whispers, some grumbles from corners of the internet like you and me, but not widespread, not mainstream. And now that the early access, it's in beta now, right? Like they
had a beta last weekend. Yeah, they had a beta last weekend where you can open. Yeah.
So now that that's here and launch is tomorrow, there's going to be a lot more opportunity for IGN to be that kid from recess that just writes down stuff on his notepad. They're just going to look at what the internet says, and they're gonna smash this game too. But the biggest indication that there's a double standard to me is in their preview article. It's positive, man. Like their preview article, it's like talking about all the positives of the game, and it doesn't mention Black Flag once.
Oh, see, I didn't know about this. So their preview is like golden. They love it.
It's golden, but it's like silver.
Okay,
it's like silver. Like it's got so much optimism in it, and if I could be wrong, but when I read it, I did not see them mention Black Flag once, which should be the big elephant in the room. Whereas in the Suicide Squad preview article, half of it was about how this game sucks because it's not Arkham Knight 2.
Right.
So why is it different here? I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, when it comes out tomorrow, do you think IGN's got 2 recorded? They got a hit piece on it, and they have a good a medium one, and they're like, let's see what the fans like.
Well, they have senior editor staff, a senior editor reviewer. He's the guy on Twitter that complained about not getting review codes from Suicide Squad. I promise you, they're gonna look at the review. This is conjecture, but they're gonna look at the review and they're gonna go, hey, we need this to be more negative, so we need you to just add a couple more criticisms to it. And then the most negative thing in the article is what they're going to post in their tweet with a link to the article.
Right.
So that way, 99% of people that see the tweet but never read the article go, oh, okay, IGN hates this game. Good. And then they keep scrolling. That's what I think happens.
Well, we had a little conversation in my Discord earlier this week, and me and Krebs were going back and forth, and I had a stance where I was like, they had a hit piece out. Like, they had a hate boner for this game, Suicide Squad. I was like, no other game. I just typed in Twitter. I said, do a advanced search. And I said, January 11th to February 11th. And I said, all all the times they posted suicide hashtag or at Suicide Squads or whatever. 45 articles, videos, hit pieces, tweets, whatever that they just kept posting in 30 days, right? And I went, all right, well let me put it up against other ones. All right, it's like, well, let me see what Starfield, because Starfield was hated, right? Starfield was, you would think Starfield is definitely more than Suicide Squad, right? How many tweets do you think Starfield had from IGN in 5 months?
In 5 months?
In 5 months. Do you think it was more or less than the 30-day?
I mean, I would assume more, but you're only bringing this up
because it's
less.
not, right. 25 tweets about Starfield in 5 months. Okay? About hate towards Starfield. Okay? Obviously there's more Starfield thing, but like just shitting on Starfield. 25 tweets.
So 5
in
a month
5
on
months.
average.
Yes. Okay, where this one was 45 in 30 days. Okay, you gotta tell me they had some hate. Someone pissed off somebody. Again, I'm speculation. I have no idea, but it just seems like they had a hard on. Remember, Cyberpunk came out. It scored a 4 on PlayStation 4. Okay, there was one tweet talking about Cyberpunk when it was bad on that platform. Okay, the game was broken, buggy when it came out, and now it's praised. Suicide Squad has 45 in 30 days. Someone at IGN doesn't like someone at Rocksteady. Maybe it's like a boyfriend, girlfriend. They broke up or something, and then now they're taking revenge. I don't know.
You've said two things that I have in my upcoming video. One is the phrase "hate boner." I have that in there too, and then the other is, dude, Did the CEO of Rocksteady like sleep with the CEO of IGN's wife or something?
I don't know, man.
Like, what happened? I don't understand.
Like, I'm all about giving criticism. I'm all about giving criticism.
Yeah, I get it. There's a lot of things to criticize about Suicide Squad, but like, you've already crapped on it. Move on. Like, go on. I don't know. It really is bizarre. In my recent memory, I cannot remember a single time. I don't think they even crapped this much on like Redfall or
they
Gollum
didn't
or something.
Yeah, no, they didn't shit on any of those. And I think Suicide Squad is this like rare unicorn that comes along, right? Because it's a big DC, like it's a big IP, right? It's a looter shooter where people like. It's a live. It hits all the buttons, you know what I mean? So they can hit it from different angles, like live service. They can hit it from the microtransaction side. They can hit it from the gameplay side. So I don't know. It's just funny to me. Actually, Destin did a review on his own channel. Okay, and I was like, oh, I gotta watch this. I gotta watch this. And he was actually pretty fair, I have to admit. Like, he started off in his review talking about the end game stuff, right? But in his review, he still brings up Batman Arkham, and he still brings up he doesn't like the story, and then he makes his own story up, what they should have done from the comics. And I just laugh when anyone does that, because I'm like, that's not the story they're telling, right? They're telling a different story. And I already told my chat, I'm not doing any more IGN reviews on my channel. I usually like watch their reviews and give them. I say I'll still read their articles, but on like topics and stuff, but I'm not doing any kind of reviews anymore. Because of that, because of the Suicide Squad review, and it's not because I like Suicide Squads. It has nothing to do with me liking Suicide Squads. It's about the reviewer in IGN that brought up Marvel's Avengers and said that Marvel's Avengers had more endgame than Suicide Squad. And I went, that is just a blatant fucking lie. I was like, Marvel's Avengers had no endgame for 1 year.
You had was it 1,100 hours in Marvel's
1,100 hours in Marvel's Avengers.
Okay. After you told me that, I went, because I was curious. I went to go see what my hours was, and I'm not even close, but I'm 569.
Okay.
I had 569 hours in Marvel's Avengers. For what's in the game, that's a lot of time spent on that game. And I agree. Like, that is one of the most outrageous statements I've read in an article in like recent memory. Because, dude, the end game of Marvel's Avengers, run around the map,
was
open
opening
up loot
chests.
boxes, open up the chests, and then restart and do it again. Don't even bother beating the mission. There's no point.
Like, I when I read that, I was like, the guy's review was actually pretty good for the Suicide Squad for IGN. Like, I'm okay with him giving it a 5. I'm okay with him saying the criticism that he had. But when he said certain things against other live service games, I was like, that's just a straight up lie. And you're making a point. Like, I didn't know if he was joking because of the British humor, right? Because he was a British guy that did the review. I didn't know if he was like, there's no end game in Marvel's Avengers and this is worse. Like, that's the joke, right? There was no end game and this end game is worse than that. But that's not how it came across. It literally said that this end game is bad and Marvel's Avengers had a better end game. And I'm like, hold up a second. I was like, this game, Suicide Squad, has more end game than Destiny when it came out, when Destiny 2 came out, when Diablo, that just came out last year, right? Like, all these, Division, it had more end game than all of these other games on day one when the game came out. And they're criticizing it and comparing it to like Destiny Year 4 or Destiny 2 Year 6 or Division Year 4. Or, you know what I'm saying? They're comparing it to games by the end, Marvel Year 3, before it closed down shop. They're comparing this game to those games where they had the end game once they already put it in instead of week 2. Like,
well, you know what that tells me? That tells me that what's his name? Simon Cardy, the reviewer, or IGN's editor, whoever it was that put that in there. They were banking on enough people having not made it to Marvel's Avengers Endgame that they wouldn't get a bunch of pushback for that statement. Because I'm willing to bet you the majority of people who played Marvel's Avengers, actually, I know this, the majority of people who at least tried Marvel's Avengers did not make it past the campaign.
Sure.
Absolutely not.
Yeah. They didn't even get one character. They didn't even get one character. You could look on the Xbox. Do you have an Xbox? Or
the achievements?
Yeah, the achievement list. They didn't even get, I forget what the percentage is. It's super low. Not one character even to max level.
I played it. I played it a little bit at launch, and then I took a break and then came back because I had some stuff going on. But I remember when a game first comes out and you're playing it on Xbox and you're getting all the like the rare achievements. You're like, oh, I'm one of the first people to do this. This is great. But when it's been like 2 or 3 months
or years,
and a basic achievement is coming across as rare, still you're like, ooh,
right, right. You're like,
good.
Get to level 5. You're like, that's like 2 hours in the game. Wait a minute. Only 40% of the people got to level 5?
Even if that was a joke by old Simon, IGN did not package it that way because they took that sentence and they blew it up on the article. So it's nice and big in there so that if you're just skimming through the article, you can catch, like the big letters, the big sentences. That's there. And if I'm not mistaken, I think they used the wording of that in some of their tweets to link to the article as well.
For God's
so
sake.
like that's what they wanted to lead with was this game, or Marvel's Avengers had more content in game than this.
Yeah.
Like that's the impression they wanted to give people who didn't click on the article.
Yeah, it's
absurd.
It is, and I feel like it's, again, I don't know who slept with whose mom or something. I don't know, something happened there. All right, we got 15 minutes left. Chat, we're gonna open up to anyone that's a member. Anyone that's a member, if you want to ask a question, you can put at Kingard or at 30NSG, and we'll answer your questions. We'll hang out for a little bit longer. I got to get to some Helldivers too. I don't know about you, but I got to get.
I really am excited to play it, and I've sworn off of playing anything because I took a few days as a break from editing anything. I came out with my Red Dead 2 video. Red Dead 2 video took a couple days, and so now I'm gonna play again once I'm done editing. Who did sleep with whose mom? Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know, dude. Someone did something to somebody. One of the editors.
Somebody at Rocksteady was IGN's school bully back in 2nd grade, and the IGN guy has spent his entire life preparing to bring down the dude at Rocksteady. This was his revenge.
Yeah, Dolphin. Yeah, he played. So you want to know what your thoughts are on Suicide Squad?
Oh, yeah, I did play it. I did a stream of it. I played more since that stream. I think
I saw you laugh a couple times out loud.
Rocksteady proved yet again that they know the characters and they can make really good character moments and do great things with them. The gameplay I thought was fun. The movement also really fun. It started to feel repetitive before I'd even made it through the campaign, though, which is not a good sign for a game they want you to grind afterwards. So I think it's a fun game. It is not trash, in my opinion, like the internet says it is. I also don't think it's worth $70 either.
I agree.
I think like a crisp $30 would be pristine, or maybe even 40 depending on what content they add to it.
Yeah, right now the game it might be worth 70 once the season 1, 2, 3, and 4 are like in the game. But paying the $70 or $100 if you paid it for the 5 days early access or whatever it was,
right?
It's definitely not worth that. Now it is a lot of fun. I have, like I said, 80 hours in the game. I think it's, if you're a person like a diehard person, absolutely get it. You're gonna get your money's worth. But if you're on the fence, if you're on the fence about that game, I would definitely wait for it to go on sale. I would say minimum $50, right? And then the longer you wait, obviously, there's no FOMO in the game. So season 1, 2, 3, 4 come in, you can still play all those things. So the longer you wait, the more value you're going to get out of your money. You
get twice the game for half the price.
That's right.
So I mean, yeah, that's my take. I really did have fun with it, but it is not worth $70 in my opinion.
Paul says IGN is winning though. The only outlet we talk about now, and they're winning toxic engagement business model. Sure, they at this point they're winning with me, but they will no longer be winning with me because I will not look at any of their stuff for reviews anymore. I'm literally done with them. As far as like if they have an article coming out saying like Phil Spencer said this or something, I'll read it and have a conversation about it. But as far as like the review process anymore, I'm done with them. I don't even want to use it for entertainment purposes. I'm just done with that.
Yeah, after their Kevin Conroy article, that did it for me.
Oh, for God's sakes.
That's so disgusting of them. Like we laugh and we joke about, toxic this and trash that, but like that was actual toxicity from a journalistic establishment. Yeah, that was the nail in the coffin for me.
Yeah. Let's see. The next Halo could bring back the dodge movement from Halo 5.
No, Krebsy, don't give him ideas. Don't do that. No. Make the dodge pickup make the dodge movement a pickup item with limited use, and I say yes, that's great.
Yeah. What's it called? They get it's sick engagement now or insane engagement now. Yeah, they're doing what they're just a tabloid. They're like, what was that tabloid back in the old days?
National Enquirer.
Was it the National Enquirer? Yeah, and then there's
is it the one that's like aliens stole my
wife?
Yes,
and then
like
TMZ, like TMZ. That's what IGN is now. For the gamers. Let me see what else you guys are saying. Sort of give yourself an applause. I don't think I have the applause. Oh, I do. Hold on. There we go. I got an applause for myself. Thank you, Jones, for giving me my own applause to myself. Yeah, ethics in general at this point. Yeah, IGN just is disappointing. Look. There's other outlets out there too that do the exact same thing. Just IGN has 17 million. They're the most prominent ones out there, but they've also been around for like what, 15, 16 years or whatever it is, maybe even longer. Any other questions for me or Kingard? Like I said, go ahead.
Oh, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I was just gonna say I used to really read. I used to get on IGN every day. Like what was that? I guess I would have been in like high school. Like I used to come home, get on my computer and look at IGN articles every day to see what was new. Like I want to see what gameplay videos and reviews and like I used to really, really like IGN a lot. And now it's just repulsive what they did with Kevin Conroy in that article. Well, that's all it took for me.
This is just one of the things that we've noticed, right? God forbid, like if you start going back and looking at other things like what they've done and whatnot.
Yeah.
Yeah, IGN was my go-to as well. I used to love, actually, my go-to before IGN was G4 TV. I would watch Attack of the Show.
Oh, G4, X-Play, and Attack of the Show, baby. Yeah.
That was it. Like, I would come home, watch their show every day when they did X-Play and stuff like that, and that's what I loved. And then IGN came out, and I would read their articles, and I was like, oh, gaming's so cool. I love gaming, right? And then here we are all these years later, and I'm like, what a shit show. What a shit show.
The first 18, that was either, I think that was X-Play, maybe it was Attack of the Show. They would show the first 18 minutes of an upcoming game.
Yeah.
That's what got me to buy Dead Space and what got me to play that series. So, congrats, G4.
Yeah. Krebsy says, is Blizzard the idiots for realizing a $65 amount for consumers for buying it? Actually, real quick, I want to talk about Diablo. We brought it up. It's coming to Game Pass. Do you think that's going to, they have a shit ton. They had over 10 million people buy the game, 10 million, right? Do we think that's going to bring up more people? They just added $65 horse armor. You think so?
I think it will. I think there's a lot more casual folks who probably aren't into that are already on Game Pass. Because I mean, what'd you say, 34 million and 10 million bought it, and not all 10 million are going to be on Xbox. So
Right,
I think so.
That's across the board, Steam and PlayStation.
Yeah,
so, yeah.
I think people will at the very least try it out. And the intro to that game is pretty good. I'll admit.
I have 168 hours in it, and
Yeah.
I liked the story. I thought the story was good.
I didn't buy the game. I played the open access, whatever, open beta, and I'd played it, but not on my account. I played it at a friend's place in preparation for a video, and I just didn't want to buy it. And I thought the intro was really good, really gripping. And so if that game were quote unquote free, like I'm already paying for it, then yeah, I could definitely see more people getting into that.
Quest asks, will Nintendo take notes from Pal World? I don't know. I think. Well, are you asking if Nintendo or Pokemon? Right? Like, are you asking, is Pokemon taking notes from Pal World, or are you saying like Nintendo themselves taking notes? I think Nintendo is going to look at it and see what the trends are and how popular it is. Is it just a one and done type of thing, or if they're gonna? I don't think Nintendo's never one to go with be a lemming. You know what I mean? Nintendo's usually the leader of the pack, where they try something and then other people follow them. You know? I don't know. What do you think? Do you think they'll take notes from Pal World?
They'll take notes, but they're not going to try to emulate it. Like they'll take a couple things into account. Like we'll probably see another open world type game from them that looks more like Pal World than it does, say, Scarlet and Violet. Glitches aside, but like, you know, I think we'll see that. But they're not going to add like rocket launchers and machine guns and, you know, building a base. Like, I don't think they're going to put all that in their game. No.
Another question here. It says, does Diablo 4 go to Game Pass Core?
I don't think it does.
Yeah, I don't think so either. I don't think.
In fact, I'd be really shocked if it did, because that's a top tier, game that.
Yeah, you don't.
I don't.
Yeah, you
don't want people to pay more for that.
Yeah, I don't think they put it on the $10 thing. I think they leave that for something else, like other AA games and stuff like that, or older like Diablo. Maybe Diablo 3 they move over to Core, but they're not putting Diablo 4.
Yeah, and I don't know that for sure, but sure. I'd be really surprised if they put it on Core.
Krebsy asks, do you still need to make new characters for each season for Diablo? Yeah, I believe so.
You do if you want the rewards, yes.
Yeah, which is stupid, but you know, whatever.
Yeah, you can play with an old character, but you won't get the new rewards.
What else do you guys? Did it not come out today on Game Pass? I'm not sure if it came out today on Game Pass. I haven't looked up.
What? Diablo 4?
Diablo 4, yeah.
No, that's not.
Oh, March.
March.
Yeah, March 28th.
28th?
Yeah, 28th. Yeah. One more question up here was, 30, did you see the gameplay video of No Rest for the Wicked? I don't even know what that is. It looks too bad. It's too bad that gameplay is from IGN. Oh, I don't even know what that is. Is it a what is it? Is it an RPG? Is it a top down? Is it action adventure? What type of game is it? I don't know what that is. Robert Jones says, have you played any Pokemon on like 30?
Not since I was really, really young. I was the Game Boy. I was totally into that. But like stuff on consoles, no, not really. Honestly, I played cards too when I was a kid. Like not even the video games. Like I would play cards.
How old are you? You're like 33, 35?
No, I'm 28.
Oh, see, you're not. Wow. Wow. All right. So I'm 45. So yeah, that's why I didn't play Pokemon. I was poking something else when Pokemon came out.
Yeah, I was around for like Pokemon the movie. Like I was pretty young when that came out, I think. So, you know, I watched the cartoons, I played some of the games, and
never watched the cartoon, never played the game. I played Magic the Gathering, the card game.
Yeah,
but I've never played. I never played
Pokemon is the #1 highest grossing IP in the world.
Yeah,
last I checked.
Yeah,
it's funny that I'm not really into it at all. I respect it, but no, it's not really my thing.
I have a question. Did you see the cast? They're saying in chat. Salty said, did you see the cast for Fantastic Four? Did you see the cast for Fantastic Four, Kinger?
I did, but I didn't recognize. They were all cartoon faces, so I went and looked at the names. Are we just talking about Pedro Pascal?
No, I think we're talking about everybody. I don't know two of the actors, Johnny Storm, and I don't know those two. Actually, Sue Storm and Pedro I know, but I don't know. Like, if this was 4 years ago and Fantastic Four came out, I would be in a completely different mindset. I would be like stoked about it.
Yeah.
I honestly don't give two shits about Fantastic Four now.
Me either.
I got excited a little bit for the Deadpool because I like Deadpool 1 and Deadpool 2. So I'm probably going to go see Deadpool 3 in theaters, and I haven't seen a Marvel film in about 2 years in theaters. So I'll probably go watch that, but I'm not excited. I'm not excited for Deadpool, or I'm definitely not excited for Fantastic Four. Especially, do you know Fantastic Four takes place in the 1960s?
I did not. Does it?
Yes.
So they're grasping at straws, trying to make something different. Okay, so we have done is we have devolved from keeping up with the MCU as a whole to kind of just cherry picking what we actually want to bother seeing. That's their fault, not ours. They
Correct.
come out with something new every 3 weeks that's subpar. But I'm with you. I will go watch Deadpool 3 because of that. I'm ready to see Ryan Reynolds and Hugh Jackman. I don't care about Fantastic Four. When the new Daredevil season comes out, I will be giving that a watch. But I did not bother with Echo, and I don't remember the last Marvel thing I saw. I think it was maybe Multiverse of Madness. I feel like there was something after that I can't remember.
Multiverse of Madness was the last thing I saw in theaters, and the last thing I saw on Disney Plus was the second episode of Miss Marvel, and then I just stopped.
I didn't even bother with Miss Marvel.
I thought Miss Marvel was a great show if it wasn't a Marvel show, and I mean that by if it was just a rom-com about this teenage girl with her family, and I thought the acting and the family and everything was great. But then they put the content of Miss Marvel, and I was just like, yeah, this is bad. I was like,
I heard the show, especially the main actress, like, not bad, but She-Hulk burnt me out so badly on, like, I actually sat all the way through She-Hulk.
You watched She-Hulk?
I did all the way through.
I'm sorry.
Because I heard Daredevil was coming back, so I watched it till I saw him. And then they saw how they just put that character in a blender, tarred and feathered him, and stuck him out for the sake of a joke. And then I finished the season because my wife and I were watching it together, and we were like, we're already this close. Let's just go ahead and finish it.
I have a question. What's worse, the RoboCop thing you showed me, or She-Hulk?
I would watch that RoboCop video on loop for the next 10 days before I watch She-Hulk again.
If you guys don't know, it's an inside joke now, and I didn't watch She-Hulk. I didn't want to. I was just like, yeah, I'm good. I'm good. Yeah, I'm not excited for. I'm not excited for anything. It's sad. It's sad for me to say, right? And I kind of get where people are coming from, where they say they're the Suicide Squad. They're shitting on the characters, but it's different. It's different, man. Like, there's the way that Marvel did all they did. What's your favorite character in Marvel?
Spider-Man, easy.
Okay. Well, okay. I should say, what's your favorite character in Avengers?
Well, your point's still going to stand because Spider-Man: Homecoming completely neutered Spider-Man.
Yeah,
completely neutered him.
Hulk is my favorite, one of my favorite characters. Spider-Man, Wolverine, and Hulk.
You got it worse than I did then.
Yeah. So Spider-Man's my number one, Hulk is number two, and then Wolverine's my third. And
Hulk is my number two as well.
Yeah, Hulk. They just made him a beta and just completely ruined him. Like, completely ruined him.
Oh yeah. Yep, I've loved Hulk and Spider-Man since I was a kid. I'll be honest, I didn't really get into DC until Arkham Asylum, but that trying that game is what opened my mind to all of DC. And then after I played that game, I couldn't stop consuming DC stuff. So I'm in the camp. I like DC more than Marvel outside of their theatrical stuff. Obviously, Marvel has, smack down DC in a lot of ways with the movie theaters, but yeah, if I had to be stuck with one IP, one or the other, and lose one, I'd probably keep DC, to be honest.
I would actually keep Batman, like solely Batman.
And his rogues gallery for sure.
Yeah, I could just watch Batman all day, like all the stuff.
Oh yeah.
Akuda Papa says, damn, it's quite a sunk cost fallacy. Oh, you're not asking a question. You're just okay. Gotcha. So you were asking him a question. And I think that's it, guys. I appreciate Kingard coming out and hanging out with us again and filling in for Sarge. Sarge had to work because he was out of town this past weekend and he had to make up for hours that he had to go to work. So because of Valentine's Day and whatnot. So I appreciate you coming in and filling in for my brother. And anytime, like I said, you're always welcome back. Chat, I do appreciate you for coming out and hanging out with us. Make sure you hit that like button, that the subscribe button. Make sure you go follow this guy. Make sure you go check out his videos. He's got a couple videos. What's the last one you came out with? I haven't seen. You came out with the
last one I came out with was Rockstar's Forgotten Stepchild.
Oh, that's the one
I
I haven't watched that one yet. I did your skin one that I commented on that one.
Yes. That was the last one, was the Red Dead one. The next one is about Suicide Squad and IGN specifically.
Nice. Yeah, so go check out Kingard. Go to his channel right now. Do it right now. Go hit that like button. Go hit that subscribe button. He makes really good content. And we always, I wait about a week or so after because I don't like watching people's stuff when they write as they come out because I want that channel and I want that video to grow like it's supposed to. Not that I'm a big content creator to take away from you, but still, it's the premise. You know what I mean? So,
it's the principle of it. Yeah. And I appreciate that. And I appreciate that your reactions actually add. They act like I this might sound really creepy and weird, but your reaction to my DLC, why DLC sucks now video, I think I watched your reaction video 2 or 3 times.
Oh, awesome.
Like you add a lot to with your reactions. It's actually really impressive. So and I appreciate whenever you do it for me.
And I let people know if you watch me back at 1.5 speed, I save you time and you can still understand me. Like it's the way I speak. It's like if you hit that 1.5 speed, it actually gets through the video faster, and you actually, So I save you time. Chat. So I appreciate it. Generation X Gaming is a weekly podcast that goes over a few of the top stories from the past week, and we rant along the way. You can watch us each and every single week on Thursday nights, 8 p.m. Eastern. You can also listen to us on iTunes, Google Play, Spotify, Anchor.fm. I'm literally like 10 episodes back, guys. I'm trying, but I'm only one person. So you have a back catalog to go listen to on iTunes and them. But you also can watch these past broadcasts right here on 30NSG. So make sure you go check those out. And if you like what we do here, become a member as little as $5. We do live streams, we do podcasts, we do uploads, we do live gameplay Monday through Thursday, and then the weekends for my family and myself. And I appreciate it. You can catch me on Lono's channel tomorrow. I'm sure we're going to talk about the exciting Microsoft stuff that happened. So I'll see you guys on the next one. Thanks for watching.
Thanks for having me.
They're two brothers and gamers that have been playing games since the early 1980s. Combined, they have over 65 years experience. Join them each week as they discuss and rant about gaming and entertainment news. This is Generation X Gaming.